Devastated by their losses in the Dagor Bragolach, High King Fingolfin of the Noldor went mad with rage, riding his horse Rokalor directly to Angband, where he challenged Morgoth to personal combat. Insulted and mocked before his captains, the Dark Lord had no choice but to accept, donning his black armor and wielding the mace Grond, hammer of the underworld. Using his sword Ringil, Fingolfin charged forth, moving so fast he avoided Morgoth's mighty strikes, successfully wounding the Dark Lord 7 times throughout the battle. But in the end, he could not keep up the pace and was eventually cast down for a final killing blow. On the verge of being crushed by his enemy's foot, the High King raised his sword one last time to land a final, gruesome strike before passing away. Though Morgoth was victorious, the wounds inflicted by Fingolfin never healed, walking with a limp the rest of his life. Seeking to throw the king's body to the wolves, the great eagle Thorondor descended upon Morgoth, clawed his face, and took Fingolfin's body, leaving it on a mountaintop near Gondolin, where his son Turgon built a cairn. With the High King dead, his eldest son Fingon inherited leadership over the Noldor and Hithlum, doing what he could to build up their strength once more. Unfortunately for the free peoples of Beleriand, following the Dagor Bragolach, even the time between great battles was fraught with danger and violence, as seen in 460 FA, when Morgoth's forces at last found and massacred Chieftain Barahir, along with his company of rebels in Ladros, and in 462 FA, when 2 armies of orcs attacked Hithlum from east and north. Fending off the eastern invasion was Chieftain Galdor the Tall of the House of Hador, a great human ally to the Noldor, but after losing his life in the fighting, he was replaced by his son Húrin, who drove the orcs back to Anfauglith. In the north, High King Fingon led their armies, but even so were on the verge of defeat when Lord Círdan of the Falas arrived with Sindar reinforcements. A rare victory during this time period occurred during the events from 465 to 466 FA, when the human hero Beren, son of Chieftain Barahir, fell in love with the elf maiden Luthien, daughter of High King Thingol and Melian the Maya, said to be the most beautiful woman to ever live. Believing Beren unworthy of his daughter, Thingol sent him on an impossible quest, saying that only if he brought forth a Silmaril from the crown of Morgoth would their union be blessed. Engaging in a long and perilous mission, Beren and later Luthien, when she joined him without permission, suffered greatly throughout the journey, even losing many of those that assisted them, including King Finrod of Nargothrond, who was tortured and killed in front of Beren by the Dark Lord's lieutenant Sauron. But in the end, they succeeded in stealing one of 3 Silmaril jewels from Morgoth's crown before presenting it to Thingol in Doriath. Considered the greatest romance in history, the story of Beren and Luthien was renowned throughout the continent, inspiring Maedhros, the eldest son of Feanor, who saw this victory over the Dark Lord as a sign he could in fact be defeated. Therefore, the eldest son of Feanor set about forming the Union of Maedhros, reaching out to all their allies across Beleriand for a final great assault against their enemy. Dividing their forces into 2 armies, Maedhros brought his brothers and their remaining followers to Himring after retaking the Pass of Aglon, along with the dwarves of the Blue Mountains and human Easterling tribes which recently settled the area. Their western army was led by High King Fingon and included the Noldor of Hithlum, the human House of Hador from Dorlomin, the human House of Haleth from Brethil, and the Sindar Elves of the Falas. High King Thingol of Doriath refused to fight alongside the sons of Feanor after learning they committed the first kinslaying in Aman, as did King Orodreth of Nargothrond, who hated 2 specific sons of Feanor, Celegorm and Curufin, because they conspired against his elder brother Finrod, indirectly contributing to his death. As a result, these lands did not send armies, with only a few volunteers joining the war effort, like the heroes Mablang and Beleg from Doriath and Gwyndor from Nargothrond. The plan was for the Eastern Army to attack Anfauglith, causing Morgoth to send out his forces, at which point Fingon and his western host hiding in the mountains would flank the enemy position. Launching the Nirnaeth Arnoediad, or Battle of Unnumbered Tears, Maedhros was devastated to see his plan fail as Morgoth's spies revealed what was happening, allowing preparations to be made. First, he used his spies to delay Maedhros as he marched west, before sending a great orc army to assail his forces. At the same time, the Dark Lord directed a smaller orc army west, trying to provoke Fingon into abandoning his defensive position before Maedhros was ready. Initially, the High King resisted temptation and was even reinforced by the late arrival of King Turgon and 10,000 warriors from Gondolin. But the orcs then brought out Gelmir, brother of Gwyndor, who was taken prisoner during the Dagor Bragolach. Dismembering Gelmir before them, Gwyndor was overwhelmed by rage, breaking ranks to charge forward alongside his men. Fingon, seeing their lines breaking, authorized a full-scale attack, with Gwyndor at the forefront, slaughtering the enemy until arriving at the gates of Angband. Yet this was precisely what the Dark Lord wanted, allowing him to unleash yet another wave of orcs to trap and slaughter Gwyndor's forces, cutting them off from Fingon and the rest of the army, which lost Haldir, chieftain of the House of Haleth, in their retreat. Meanwhile, Union forces in the east were at last making progress, reaching their allies in the west, only for Morgoth to reveal his final ploy, unleashing every last servant of Angband, including orcs, Balrogs led by Gothmog, wolves, wolf riders, and dragons led by Glaurung. Even facing all these enemies, Maedhros might have still emerged victorious, if not for the betrayal of Ulfang and his Easterlings, who were stationed in the rear, allowing them to trap Union forces. Serving Morgoth in exchange for the bountiful lands of Hithlum, Ulfang made the Dark Lord's victory possible, but it came at the cost of his life, as he was found and slain by Maglor, a son of Feanor. Yet not all Easterlings proved false, as Bor and his followers remained loyal to the Union, even turning against their traitorous kin and sacrificing their lives to slay the sons of Ulfang. Seeing their eastern army utterly vanquished, Union remnants organized a retreat, leaving the valiant dwarves to hold the line, as they were better able to withstand dragonfire. Doing all they could to help their allies escape harm, Lord Azaghal of Belegost lost his life against Glaurung, but was able to land one last blow before he died, causing the dragon to flee the battlefield. Finding one of their lords dead, the dwarves recovered his body and journeyed home to the mountains, marching with a look so grim and deadly none dared get in their way. After their victory in the east, Morgoth's armies united to finish off Fingon in the west, overwhelming their forces in an attack which left the High King dead, falling to Gothmog, the Lord of Balrogs. Upon seeing the death of the king, Chieftain Húrin and the men of Dorlomin charged forth and sacrificed themselves, so Turgon, the new High King, and his followers could escape back to Gondolin. Though the chieftain's brother Huor was killed along with the rest of their men, Húrin's fate was even worse, as he was taken captive and tortured for decades. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Commander Pete J. King, Delacruz the Freed, Sir Rick Lone, and Captain Marvel DMB MSC. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.